the council chamber floated in orbit above Pristana 7, a massive structure of metal and crystal that housed representatives from 48 different species. Ambassador Taiho Park stood at the human podium, his hands clasped behind his back, watching the chaos unfold before him. The Vextari High Chancellor, Vel Morris, clicked his mandibles together in what passed for laughter among his insectoid species. His compound eyes glittered with amusement as he looked down at Taiho from the elevated chairman's seat. Ambassador Park, surely you cannot be serious, Vel Morris said, his translator converting his clicks and chirps into standard galactic common. Humanity requests equal voting privileges? You have been members of this council for merely 50 years. Some species here have served for thousands. Taiho kept his face neutral. He had expected this response. 50 years of service meant nothing to them. 50 years of human blood spilled in their wars. 50 years of human ships protecting their trade routes. 50 years of human doctors saving their people from diseases. None of it mattered. We have contributed more in 50 years than most species have in 500, Taiho said quietly. His voice carried through the chamber despite its softness. We currently operate 70% of all peacekeeping missions. We provide medical aid to 14 different worlds. We defend trade routes across 12 sectors. And yet, we have the same voting power as species who contribute nothing. The Quintar Trade Minister, Rokar, rippled his translucent fins in disagreement. His aquatic species communicated through color changes in their skin, but the translator made his meaning clear. Humanity chose to take on these responsibilities. No one forced you. You wanted to prove yourselves worthy of this council. And we have, Taiho replied, which is why we now request what we have earned. The vote was called. Taiho watched the display screen as the results appeared. 47 species voted against the human proposal. Only humanity voted in favor. It was not a surprise, but it still stung. Vel Morris clicked his approval. The matter is settled. Now, we must address the border conflict between the Turellians and the Morvax Collective. Ambassador Park, the Council requires human peacekeeping forces to deploy to the disputed zone immediately. Taiho did not move. The same council that just denied us equal status now gives us orders? You are members of this council, Vel Morris said, his tone sharpening. You have responsibilities. The conflict is escalating. Without human intervention, thousands will die. Then perhaps the council should send someone else, Taiho said. The chamber fell silent. Several translators made confused sounds, as if unsure they had properly conveyed the human's words. Ambassador Park, Vel Morris said slowly, are you refusing a council directive? Taiho looked around the chamber. He saw species that humanity had saved from extinction. Species whose economies relied on human protection. Species who had grown fat and comfortable while humans did the hard work of keeping the galaxy safe. No, Taiho said. I am not refusing. I am withdrawing. Humanity resigns from the Galactic Council, effective immediately. For a moment, no one spoke. Then Vel Morris began clicking in what could only be laughter. Other species joined in, making their own sounds of amusement. A negotiating tactic, Rokar said, his skin flashing with amused colors. Primitive, but we understand. You wish to pressure us into reconsidering the vote. Very well, Ambassador. We will give you 3 days to reconsider this dramatic gesture, then we expect human forces to deploy as ordered. Taiho pressed a button on his podium. A communication link opened to the human fleet waiting in orbit. Captain Nara Kim's face appeared on the screen, visible to everyone in the chamber. Captain Kim, Taiho said, initiate protocol exodus. All human personnel are to withdraw from council space within 72 hours. Leave nothing behind except what we cannot take. We are going home. Nara's face showed no emotion. She had known this might happen. Understood, Ambassador. Beginning recall procedures now. The laughter in the chamber died. Vel Morris leaned forward, his mandibles spreading in concern. Ambassador Park, you cannot be serious. This is not a negotiation you can win. You need the Council more than the Council needs you. Then you have nothing to worry about, Taiho said. He gathered his datapad and turned toward the exit. His security chief, Hyunwoo Lee, fell into step beside him, along with the rest of the human delegation. "Park," Velmorris called out. "You're making a mistake. Come back here. We can discuss this." Taiho did not turn around. He had spent 50 years discussing, negotiating, and pleading. He was done talking. The human delegation walked through the corridors of the council station. They passed representatives from other species, all of whom stared in confusion. The Tyrellian ambassador, an avian creature named Sky Talon of Morning, rushed toward them. "Ambassador Park, please," she chirped, her feathers ruffled in distress. "The conflict with the Morvax, it will become a bloodbath without human peacekeepers. My people will die." Taiho stopped and looked at her. He felt genuine sympathy. The Tyrellians had always treated humans with respect, but they had still voted against humanity's proposal. "Then perhaps your people should not have voted to deny us our rights," he said gently. "I am sorry, Sky Talon, but we cannot continue to bleed for those who do not value us." In orbit above the station, Captain Nara Kim stood on the bridge of the human flagship, watching her screens light up with confirmation signals. Every human ship in council space was acknowledging the recall order. Every station, every outpost, every patrol vessel. "Ma'am, we have 247 military vessels confirming withdrawal," her tactical officer reported. "Civilian merchant fleet is also responding. They want to know if this is really happening." "It is really happening," Nara said. "Tell them to close their businesses, pack their cargo, and head for human space. Anyone who wants to stay can stay, but they will receive no support from the government." She knew almost all of them would come home. Humans were loyal to each other if nothing else. "What about the colonies?" her communications officer asked. "We have human populations on 23 different worlds throughout council space. Contact Administrator Sora Han on Nova Sol," Nara ordered. "Tell her to begin civilian evacuation procedures. Anyone who wants to leave gets transport. Anyone who wants to stay can stay, but they need to understand what they are choosing." The bridge crew worked efficiently, sending out thousands of messages. Within hours, human ships across the galaxy began turning toward home. They left behind defensive grids they had built, medical stations they had operated, trade posts they had established, research facilities they had staffed. They took nothing that did not belong to them, but they took everything that did. Back in the council chamber, Velmorris watched his screens in growing alarm. Human ships were actually leaving. This was not a bluff. This was not a negotiation. "Contact the human delegation," he ordered. "Tell them we are willing to discuss the voting rights issue again." But Taiho Park's ship was already gone, heading for the jump point that would take him back to Earth. His final message to the council was brief. "You had 50 years to listen. We are done talking." The evacuation of Nova Sol took 3 days. Administrator Sora Han stood in the central plaza of the human settlement, watching families load their belongings onto transport shuttles. Children cried. Adults looked back at homes they had built with their own hands. But they all kept moving. "How many are staying?" Sora asked her assistant. 43 people out of 8,000, came the reply. "Mostly those who married into local alien families. They understand the risks." Sora nodded. She had made the risks clear. Once the human government withdrew, there would be no protection, no support, no aid. These people would be on their own in a galaxy that was about to become very dangerous. She boarded the last transport herself, looking back at the settlement one final time. They had built schools here, hospitals, farms. All of it would remain, empty and waiting. Maybe someday humans would return. Maybe not. Across the galaxy, similar scenes played out on 22 other worlds. Humans packed up and left, taking their knowledge and skills with them. Admiral Junho Choi commanded the withdrawal from his flagship, coordinating the movement of hundreds of vessels. His tactical display showed the scale of the operation. Human ships were pulling out of conflict zones across council space. "Sir, we are receiving distress calls from the Keltar sector," his communications officer reported. "The border war between the Tyrellians and the Morvax has escalated. They are requesting immediate peacekeeping support." "Acknowledge the message but do not respond," Junho said. "We are no longer responsible for their conflicts." His officer hesitated. Sir, our intelligence suggests casualties are already in the thousands. Junho felt the weight of that knowledge. He had spent 20 years of his life protecting these species. He had lost friends in their wars, but he could not allow sympathy to change his orders. Not our problem anymore, he said quietly. Continue the withdrawal. At the Nexus Prime Research Station, lead engineer Doyun Yoon supervised the removal of all human technology and research. The station had been a joint project between 12 species, studying advanced physics and energy systems. Humans had contributed more than half of the breakthrough discoveries. Are we really taking everything? One of his junior engineers asked. Everything that is ours, yes, Doyun confirmed. He watched as his team carefully dismantled the quantum resonance chamber, a device that humans had designed and built. Without it, the station's primary research would be impossible. An alien scientist, a crystalline being named Sivara, approached him. Light refracted through her body in patterns that conveyed sadness. Doyun, please reconsider, she said. The work we do here benefits all species. Taking your technology will set us back decades. Then perhaps the Council should have thought about that before treating us as second-class members, Doyun replied. He did not enjoy being harsh with Sivara. She had always been a good colleague and friend. But facts were facts. I voted for your proposal, Sivara said. My species supported humanity. We are not all the same. Doyun paused in his work. I know. And I am sorry that you must suffer for the decisions of others. But we cannot stay. Not under these conditions. The human team finished their work and departed. Behind them, Nexus Prime's lights flickered and died as essential systems went offline. The station would not recover. On Earth, Ambassador Taiho Park sat in a meeting with the Terran Council, the human government that oversaw all human colonies and interests. President Yuna Song presided over the meeting. The economic impact of the withdrawal is significant, the finance minister reported. We are losing access to markets worth trillions of credits. We are also saving trillions in military spending, Taiho countered. We were operating 70% of the Council's peacekeeping operations at our own expense. The Council reimbursed us for maybe 20% of our costs. What about the humanitarian concerns? The foreign minister asked. We are receiving reports of wars escalating without our peacekeepers, plagues spreading without our doctors, pirate raids increasing without our patrols. Taiho had been receiving the same reports. Each one hurt, but he had to stay strong. We spent 50 years solving their problems, he said. We saved them countless times. We asked for nothing except respect and equal treatment. They refused. Now they can learn to solve their own problems. President Yuna Song looked around the table. The decision is made. We continue the withdrawal. All human assets return to human space. We close our borders and focus on our own development. The meeting ended, and Taiho returned to his office. His assistant handed him a stack of messages. Requests from alien ambassadors, begging for meetings. Pleas from species whose worlds were falling apart without human help. Threats from the Council, warning of consequences. He deleted them all. 2 weeks after the withdrawal began, the Galactic Council held an emergency session. Velmoris looked out at the chamber, seeing empty seats where human representatives used to sit. More alarming were the other empty seats. Several minor species had also stopped attending, inspired by humanity's example. The situation is deteriorating rapidly, Rokar reported, his skin flashing with anxious colors. 14 trade routes are now too dangerous to use without human patrol fleets. Pirate attacks have increased by 300%. We are losing billions of credits per day. What about the Torellian-Morvax conflict? Asked a delegate from the avian species. It has become a full regional war, Velmoris admitted. Casualties are estimated at over 50,000 and climbing. Both sides are refusing negotiation. We need to bring the humans back, another delegate said. Send another delegation. Offer them whatever they want. We already tried, Velmoris said. They refused to meet with us. Ambassador Park sent a message saying we had 50 years to listen and they are done talking. The chamber erupted in argument. Some species wanted to threaten humanity with economic sanctions. Others suggested military action. A few voices, like Tsivara's crystalline people, argued that humanity was right to leave and the Council needed to reform. Meanwhile, the galaxy continued to fall apart. The Chinlos homeworld, suffering from a plague that human doctors had been treating, saw its death toll climb to 2 million. The Council's communication network, built on human-designed protocols, began experiencing failures. Without human technicians to maintain it, encrypted channels became vulnerable. Cryptographer Minji An, now safely back on Earth, monitored the Council networks remotely. She watched their security systems fall apart without proper maintenance. She could have fixed the problems in hours. Instead, she closed her terminal and went to lunch. Captain Nara Kim's fleet reached the edge of Council space, crossing into the independent buffer zone. Behind them, they left a galaxy in chaos. Ahead of them lay human space, safe and secure. All ships accounted for, her tactical officer reported. No losses during the withdrawal. Good, Nara said. Set course for Earth. Let's go home. As the human fleet jumped to faster-than-light speed, sensors detected something interesting. Several small alien vessels were following them, ships belonging to minor species that the Council had also marginalized. They sent messages requesting asylum in human space. Nara forwarded the requests to Earth and received quick approval. Humanity might be done with the Council, but they would not turn away those who needed help. The exodus was complete. Every human who wanted to leave had left. They had taken their ships, their technology, their knowledge, and their skills. They had left behind nothing except empty buildings and offline systems. The Galactic Council had thought humanity needed them. They were about to discover how wrong they were. 3 months had passed since humanity left the Galactic Council. Former liaison officer Kiwan Zhang sat in his apartment on Earth, staring at his message terminal. He had 17 unread messages from Terrellian Empress Sky Talon of Morning. He had not opened any of them. Kaiwan had lived on the Terrellian homeworld for 10 years. He had friends there. People he cared about. But his orders were clear. No contact with Council species. No aid. No support. He finally opened the most recent message. Sky Talon's feathered face appeared on the screen. She looked exhausted, her plumage dull and ragged. "Kiwan, please," she said in the recording. "The war with the Morvax has reached our cities. Millions are dead. Our hospitals are overwhelmed. I know you cannot come back, but please just talk to me. Tell me what to do." Kiwan closed the message. He wanted to help. Every fiber of his being screamed at him to respond. But he could not. This was the price of respect. This was what happened when you took someone for granted. On the Chinlos homeworld, the plague continued to spread. The death toll had reached 5 million. The Council had sent their own medical teams, but without human expertise, they could barely slow the disease. The Chinlos had been one of the species that voted against humanity's rights proposal. In the Council chamber, Velmoris called another emergency session. The situation had gone from bad to catastrophic. He looked out at the assembled delegates, seeing fear in every face, regardless of species. "The financial report," he said, his mandibles clicking with stress. Rokar's skin flashed through a spectrum of dark, troubled colors. 3 member species have entered full economic collapse. 7 more are in severe recession. Trade volume is down 60%. The Council treasury is empty. We cannot pay for basic operations. The Draxian Empire has begun expanding into our territory, added the military coordinator, a reptilian species. They are taking advantage of our weakness. Without human fleets to patrol the borders, we cannot stop them. "How many systems have we lost?" Velmoris asked. 14, with more falling every day. The Draxians are not even trying to hide their invasion. Their war prime publicly mocked us yesterday, calling us soft prey without our human defenders. Velmoris felt something he had never experienced in his 300 years of life. True fear. The Council was collapsing, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. "We need to contact the humans again," he said. "They will not answer," Rokar replied. "We have sent 50 delegation requests, all ignored." Then we go to Earth ourselves, Velmoris decided. We bring representatives from every species. We apologize. We give them everything they asked for. Intelligence Officer Sang-Jin Ko sat in a secure facility beneath Seoul, monitoring every communication that went in or out of council space. His job was to track the collapse and report it to the Terran government. The council is falling faster than projected, he told his supervisor. At current rates, complete dissolution in 4 months, maybe 5. And the humanitarian situation? His supervisor asked. Sang-Jin pulled up another display. Bad and getting worse. Estimated deaths from the Turelian-Morvax War are over 200,000. The Chinlos Plague is at 5 million dead. Pirate raids have killed tens of thousands more. Hundreds of millions are facing starvation as trade routes collapse. His supervisor was quiet for a moment. Does it bother you? Knowing we could stop it? Every day, Sang-Jin admitted. But they need to learn. We cannot keep saving people who do not value us. While the council fell apart, Ambassador Hana Bayek was having very different conversations. She sat in a conference room on the human colony world of New Busan, meeting with representatives from 42 species. These were not council members. They were the marginalized ones, the small species that the council had ignored. Humanity's withdrawal showed us something important, said a delegate from the Veshnari, a crystalline species. We do not have to accept mistreatment. We can leave. We can build something better. Which is why we propose the Coalition of Independent Worlds, Hana said. A new alliance based on true equality. Every species gets equal votes, regardless of size or age. Decisions are made by consensus, not by the powerful imposing their will on the weak. The council will see this as a threat, another delegate warned. The council is too busy collapsing to worry about us, Hana replied. And we are not building this to fight them. We are building it to create a better future. The delegates talked long into the night. By morning, they had agreed to the basic charter. The Coalition of Independent Worlds would be founded, with humanity as one voice among equals. On Earth, President Yuna Song reviewed Hana's report with satisfaction. This is good work. The coalition will give us allies and trading partners without the exploitation we faced in the council. What about the council's delegation? Her foreign minister asked. They are requesting permission to enter Earth orbit. Velmoris himself is leading it. Yuna considered. Make them wait. 3 days in orbit, then we will meet them on Luna, not on Earth. They do not get to set foot on our homeworld. 3 days later, Velmoris and his delegation waited in a conference room on Luna, Earth's moon. The room had a large window showing Earth below, a beautiful blue and green world. The council delegates stared at it with mixed emotions. Ambassador Taeho Park entered the room, alone except for 2 security guards. He did not hurry. He did not smile. He simply sat down and looked at the delegates who had once looked down on him. You have 5 minutes, he said. Velmoris clicked his mandibles nervously. Ambassador Park, we have come to apologize. The council recognizes that we treated humanity poorly. We offer you full voting rights, territories, seats on all major committees. Please, come back. We need you. Taeho was quiet for a moment. You need us, he repeated. Not you want to treat us fairly. Not you recognize our value. You need us. Yes, Velmoris admitted. The council is falling apart without you. Millions are dying. Economies are collapsing. We cannot survive without human support. Then you should have thought of that before, Taeho said simply. Rokar's skin flashed with desperate colors. We are offering you everything you asked for. What more do you want? Nothing, Taeho said. There is nothing you can offer us. You had 50 years to do the right thing. You chose not to. Now you face the consequences. But the people dying are innocent, a delegate pleaded. They did not vote against you. Many of them supported you. Are you willing to let them die for the sins of their leaders? Taeho felt that argument hit home. It was true. Many innocent people were suffering, but he could not let sympathy override strategy. Where were you when we were dying? He asked quietly. We lost thousands of soldiers in your wars. We spent trillions protecting you. We saved your people from plagues and pirates and invasions. And when we asked for simple respect, You laughed at us. He stood up. You do not want us back because you value us. You want us back because you need us. That is not enough. What will be enough? Velmorris asked desperately. Nothing, Tejo repeated. He pulled out a datapad and slid it across the table. That is the charter for the Coalition of Independent Worlds. 43 species have signed it. We are building a new alliance based on actual equality, not the illusion of it. The council delegates stared at the document in shock. If your species wish to join, you are welcome to apply, Tejo continued. But you will enter as equals, not as rulers. You will have the same voice as the smallest species, and you will be judged on your contributions, not your history. He walked toward the door, then paused. The Galactic Council is dead. You are simply too stubborn to admit it. When you are ready to accept that, come talk to us about the coalition. The delegates sat in stunned silence as Tejo left. They had offered humanity everything and been rejected. They had no idea what to do next. The Draxian war prime, Korzeneth, stood on the bridge of his flagship, watching another council world fall to his forces. The reptilian warrior felt nothing but contempt for the species that had once thought themselves superior. They offer no resistance, his second-in-command reported. Their defensive fleets are undermanned and poorly coordinated. Without the humans, they are helpless. Korzeneth bared his teeth in what his species considered a smile. The humans were their spine. We watched for decades as humanity did all the real work, while the council members grew soft and lazy. Now the humans are gone, and we see what the council truly is. Nothing. He issued orders to continue the advance. The Draxian Empire had gained more territory in 3 months than in the previous 50 years. All because humanity had walked away. Back on Earth, Intelligence Officer Sangjin Ko presented his weekly report to the Terran Council. The news was grim. The Terrellian-Morvax War has expanded into a 5-species conflict, he said. Total casualties are now estimated at over 400,000. The Chinlos Plague has killed 8 million. The Draxian Empire controls 23 former council systems. Pirate activity is up 500%. Starvation is spreading across multiple worlds as trade collapses. President Yuna Song listened with a heavy heart. And the council's response? Ineffective, Sangjin replied. They are trying to build their own peacekeeping forces, but they have no experience and no coordination. Yesterday, 2 council fleets accidentally fired on each other because their communication systems were not synchronized. The humans used to handle all of that. What about domestic opinion? Yuna asked. Are our people still supporting the withdrawal? Sangjin hesitated. Support has dropped from 92% to 78%. People see the news reports. They know millions are dying. Some are questioning whether we made the right choice. Yuna nodded. She had expected this. It was easy to be strong when the consequences were abstract. It was harder when you saw actual suffering. Remind our people why we left, she said. Show them the recordings of the council vote. Show them how the council treated us for 50 years. Make sure they understand that sympathy is not the same as responsibility. On the colony world of New Busan, the Coalition of Independent Worlds held its founding assembly. Ambassador Hana Bayek watched as representatives from 56 species, including humanity, signed the charter. The Vaishnavi ambassador, Tsivara, spoke for all the minor species. For too long, we have been ignored and exploited. The Galactic Council claimed to represent all of us, but it only served the powerful. Today, we build something different. Today, we build something fair. The charter was simple. Every species got 1 vote, regardless of size. Decisions required a 2/3 majority. Military contributions were voluntary. Economic benefits were shared equally. No species could be exploited. Hana felt pride as she signed the document. This was what humanity had wanted from the Council. True equality, real respect. They had not found it there, so they had built it themselves. The Council will not like this, Tsivara said privately to Hana after the ceremony. The Council is too busy dying to care, Hana replied. Besides, we are not their enemy. We are simply choosing a different path. Within days, 5 more species applied to join the coalition. 3 of them were former council members, willing to abandon the sinking ship. Velmoris received the news with despair. Not only had humanity refused to return, they had created a rival organization, and it was growing. "We are losing members," he told the council. "If this continues, the Galactic Council will cease to exist within the year." "Then we must destroy the coalition before it destroys us," suggested a hawkish delegate from a militaristic species. "We send our fleets to blockade their worlds. We show them the price of rebellion." "With what fleets?" Rokar asked bitterly. "The Draxians have destroyed half our military. Pirates have scattered the rest. We can barely protect our own core worlds, let alone project power against the coalition." "Then what do you suggest?" the hawk demanded. "We surrender," Rokar said quietly. "We admit the council failed. We dissolve it and apply to join the coalition as individual species." The chamber erupted in outrage. The idea of the mighty Galactic Council dissolving itself was unthinkable. Yet Velmoris could not deny the logic. They were out of options. The Draxian advance suddenly stopped. War Prime Korzeneth had received interesting intelligence. The coalition of independent worlds had formed a mutual defense pact. Any attack on a coalition member would be treated as an attack on all members. More importantly, humanity had agreed to provide military support to coalition members. Human fleets were already deploying to defend coalition borders. Korzeneth studied the tactical data. His forces outnumbered any single coalition species. But combined, and with human military expertise, they were a serious threat. He could continue expanding into Council territory, which was poorly defended, or he could pick a fight with the coalition, which would be costly. The choice was obvious. He ordered his forces to avoid coalition space and focus on the Council's territories. Former liaison Kiwan Jiang finally broke his silence. He could not watch Terrellian people die without trying to help. He sent a message to Empress Sky Talon of Morning. "I cannot bring humanity back to the Council," he wrote. "That decision is final, but I can offer you another option. The Coalition of Independent Worlds is accepting new members. If Terrellian leaves the Council and applies to the Coalition, we can help you end the war." The reply came within hours. Sky Talon's voice was desperate but hopeful. "Tell me what we need to do." Kiwan explained the Coalition's requirements. Equality for all species, shared governance, no exploitation. The Terrellians would have to give up their privileged position in the Council and accept being equal to species they once looked down on. "After what I have seen," Sky Talon said, "equality sounds wonderful. The Council's hierarchy has brought us nothing but misery. We accept your terms." Within a week, Terrellian formally withdrew from the Galactic Council and applied to the Coalition. The Morvax Collective, seeing this, did the same. Both applications were approved. As soon as they became Coalition members, human peacekeepers arrived. Captain Nara Kim's fleet positioned itself between Terrellian and Morvax forces. "Attention all vessels," Nara broadcast. "The war is over. Both Terrellian and Morvax are now Coalition members. Any further attacks will be treated as aggression against the Coalition and met with force. Stand down immediately." The warring fleets hesitated, then slowly powered down their weapons. After months of brutal fighting, the war ended in a day, simply because someone with actual authority had stepped in. Velmoris watched his council fall apart. In 1 week, he had lost 3 major members to the Coalition. Others were publicly discussing whether to follow. He made a decision he never thought he would make. He sent a message to President Yuna Song, not asking for humanity to return, but asking for permission to dissolve the Council and have its members apply individually to the Coalition. The reply came from Ambassador Taiho Park. "The Coalition is not a continuation of the Council under a new name. It is a different organization with different values. If Council species wish to join, they will be evaluated individually. Some may be accepted, some may be rejected. All will be treated equally, whether they ruled the Council or served it." It was a harsh message, but fair. Velmoris shared it with the Council members. The debate lasted for days. Finally, they voted. 32 species voted to dissolve the Council and apply to the Coalition individually. 16 voted to try to keep the council alive. The vote was the end. The Galactic Council, which had existed for over 4,000 years, was officially dissolved. An era had ended. Velmoris applied for his species to join the coalition. In his application, he wrote a long apology to humanity. He explained how his people had taken humans for granted, how they had used humanity's strength without respecting it, how they had been wrong. "We do not deserve your forgiveness," he wrote, "but we ask for the chance to earn it." On Earth, Taiho read the application. He felt no satisfaction, no triumph, just sadness for what might have been if the Council had chosen respect over arrogance 50 years ago. 1 year after humanity withdrew from the Galactic Council, President Unisong stood before the Coalition Assembly. The chamber was different from the old council hall. There was no elevated chairman's seat looking down on everyone. Instead, all delegates sat in a circle, equals addressing equals. The Coalition of Independent Worlds now includes 73 member species, Una announced. In 12 months, we have accomplished what the Council failed to do in 4,000 years. We have created true peace, true prosperity, and true equality. The assembly erupted in applause. Representatives from dozens of species showed their approval in their own ways. Clicks, chirps, color changes, and various other forms of communication filled the chamber. Architect Yunji Lim watched the session with pride. She had written the coalition charter, carefully crafting every word to prevent the exploitation that had destroyed the council. No species could be forced to contribute more than others. No species could claim special privileges. No species could be taken for granted. The results spoke for themselves. Coalition trade was booming. Conflicts were resolved through mediation, not war. Technology was shared freely. Every species contributed what they could and received what they needed. Admiral Junho Choi commanded the Coalition Defense Force, a military organization very different from what humanity had run for the old council. Now, every member species contributed ships and personnel according to their abilities. Humans were still the largest military power, but they were not alone. "Status report," Junho requested from his flagship. "All sectors secure, sir," his tactical officer replied. "We have mixed species patrol fleets operating in 20 regions. No major incidents to report." "And the Draxian Empire?" "They requested a meeting, sir. War Prime Korzaneth wishes to negotiate." Junho allowed himself a small smile. The Draxians had stopped expanding when they realized the coalition would fight back. Now they wanted to talk. Good. The meeting took place on a neutral station. War Prime Korzaneth arrived with a small honor guard, facing Ambassador Teho Park across a negotiation table. "Your coalition has impressed me," Korzaneth said bluntly. Draxians did not believe in diplomatic niceties. "You united dozens of species in months. You stopped wars. You created order. I respect strength, and you have shown strength." "We have shown cooperation," Taiho corrected. "Strength alone is temporary. Strength combined with unity lasts." Korzaneth's reptilian eyes studied the human. The old council had strength. They had numbers. They had resources. But they fell apart the moment you humans left. "Why?" "Because they built their civilization on exploitation," Taiho explained. "They let humanity do all the work while they enjoyed the benefits. When we stopped working, everything collapsed. The coalition is different. Everyone contributes. Everyone benefits. No one is exploited." "And you would accept the Draxian Empire into this coalition?" Korzaneth asked skeptically. "If you meet the requirements, yes. Equal treatment of all species. Shared governance. Mutual defense. No conquest, no exploitation. Can your empire accept those terms?" Korzaneth was quiet for a long moment. The Draxians had built their culture on military dominance. But he was pragmatic enough to see the galaxy had changed. "We can," he said finally, "but we will not be weak. If the coalition is attacked, Draxian warriors will fight with honor." "We expect nothing less," Taiho said. "Welcome to the coalition." On the Chinlos homeworld, Human medical teams worked alongside coalition doctors from a dozen species. The plague that had killed 8 million people was finally contained. Dr. Min-jae Cho supervised the effort, watching as her team administered the final treatments. "How did we succeed when the council failed?" asked a young Chinlos doctor. "The council sent orders from orbit," Min-jae explained. "The coalition sent people who cared. That is the difference." The Chinlos people had been humbled by their experience. They had voted against humanity's rights proposal, thinking humans were arrogant newcomers. Now they understood that humans had been the only thing holding the galaxy together. When Chinlos applied to join the coalition, they did so with a formal apology to humanity. The application was accepted. Former High Chancellor Velmoras now served as a junior delegate in the coalition assembly. His species, the Vextari, had been accepted, but only after a lengthy review process. They had been council leaders, which meant they had the most to answer for. Velmoras did not complain. He had learned his lesson. He watched Ambassador Hannah Beck present a proposal for expanded trade routes, seeing how she consulted with representatives from small species just as seriously as she consulted with large ones. Everyone's opinion mattered. After the session, Velmoras approached Tejo Park. "May I speak with you?" Tejo nodded. They walked to an observation deck overlooking space. In the distance, human and alien ships patrolled together. "I spent 300 years in the council," Velmoras said. "I thought I understood governance. I thought I understood civilization. I was wrong about everything." "Not everything," Tejo said gently. "You built something that lasted 4,000 years. That is no small achievement. But it was built on the wrong foundation," Velmoras said. "We took the strong and forced them to serve the weak without giving anything in return. When the strong finally left, everything fell apart." "Yes," Tejo agreed. "That is exactly what happened." "How do you not hate us?" Velmoras asked. "After everything we did, after all the humans who died protecting us, how do you welcome us into your coalition?" Tejo was quiet for a moment, choosing his words carefully. "Hate is exhausting. Revenge is pointless. We did not leave the council to hurt you. We left to respect ourselves. Now we are building something better. You can be part of that, or not. The choice is yours." "We choose to be part of it," Velmoras said. "And we will spend the rest of our lives trying to earn the trust we squandered." Empress Sky Talon of Morning addressed the Terrellian Parliament, speaking of the year since joining the coalition. "We were at war, dying by the thousands. In one day, the coalition ended the fighting. In 1 month, they helped us rebuild. In 1 year, we have prospered more than in the previous century. We were wrong to take humanity for granted. We will not make that mistake again." On Earth, former liaison Kiwan Jung received a message from Sky Talon. "Thank you for giving us a second chance. The Terrellian people will remember." Kiwan felt satisfaction for the first time in a year. He had not been able to save everyone, but he had saved some. Captain Nara Kim sat in her quarters, reviewing patrol reports. The coalition now had 300 warships from 20 different species. Humans still provided the most, but everyone contributed. More importantly, everyone trained together, fought together, trusted each other. This was what the council should have been. This was what humanity had wanted all along. The Coalition Assembly held a special session to mark the 1-year anniversary of the Council's dissolution. President Yoona Song gave the keynote speech. 1 year ago, the galaxy was falling apart. Wars raged. Plagues spread. Economies collapsed. Today, we have peace. We have prosperity. We have hope. What changed? She looked around the chamber at the diverse species gathered there. What changed is that we chose to value each other. We chose equality over hierarchy. We chose cooperation over exploitation. We chose to build something that works for everyone, not just the powerful. The old council failed because it forgot a simple truth. No civilization can survive by taking from its people without giving back. No alliance can last when some members carry all the burden while others reap all the rewards. No society is stable when respect is denied to those who deserve it most. Humanity did not destroy the Galactic Council. We simply stopped holding it up. It fell because it was built on a foundation of sand. The coalition stands because it is built on rock. The applause was thunderous. Later, Taiho stood on the observation deck of the coalition headquarters, looking out at the stars. Ambassador Hana Baek joined him. "Do you ever regret it?" she asked. "Walking away from the council?" "No," Taiho said without hesitation. "We gave them 50 years. We asked for simple respect. They refused. Some lessons can only be learned the hard way." "Millions died because we left," Hana said quietly. "Millions died because the council was corrupt and broken," Taiho corrected. "Those deaths are not on our conscience. We tried to fix the system from within. We tried to be patient. We tried to earn their respect. When none of that worked, we left." "And built something better," Hana said. "Yes," Taiho agreed. "We built something better." They stood in comfortable silence, watching coalition ships pass by. Human vessels flew alongside Terrellian, Vextari, Draxian, and dozens of other species. All working together, all equals. The galaxy had learned a hard lesson. You cannot build a civilization on the backs of those you refuse to value. You cannot demand service without offering respect. You cannot take without giving. Humanity had not destroyed the old order. They had simply stopped holding it up. And in its place, they had built something new. Something better. Something that would last. Because it was built on the one foundation that never fails. Mutual respect among equals. The age of the Galactic Council was over. The age of the coalition of independent worlds had begun. And at its heart, standing as equals among friends, were the humans who had simply asked to be valued for who they were. They had walked away from a galaxy that did not respect them. And in doing so, they had shown that galaxy how to be better. That was humanity's true strength. Not their ships, not their technology, not their warriors. Their strength was knowing their own worth and refusing to accept anything less than the respect they deserved. The galaxy was better for it,